Rainbow wheel. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Do the topic or something.
Well, let's,
Burp.
We kind of had an idea of what we wanted to talk about today, actually.
Yeah, and we're glad you could join us for this. But by the way, hello to those who are listening. I'm Sprout.
I'm Jeremy.
And we're here with our homeboy IllyWilly.
IllyWilly. It's such.
Hey.
I like IllyWilly.
Joe. I'm Joe.
No, that his name's not Joe. He's his real name's IllyWilly.
Eat at Joe's.
Yeah, my parents are sadomasochistic fucks.
That happens.
And we've got IllyWilly here through Discord today.
Yeah, he's not actually here in the studio.
We're speaking to the ghost of IllyWilly.
When I first heard that nickname, I automatically thought of Chilly Willy. You remember Chilly Willy?
The penguin.
Yep.
Chili Willy.
Yeah. It was a good. Who was that? Woody Woodpecker?
I don't know who Chili Willy is.
What? Oh, I suppose. You didn't grow up with Woody Woodpecker, did you?
Oh no, I did. So I suddenly have a vague concept of what that is, but I'm not going to Google it like I normally would.
Okay, cool.
My fingers are already on the keyboard, but I'm pretty sure I know who that is, and I think if I saw a picture of him,
He didn't grow up eating Kablam cereal.
Kablam. Oh my God. I'm like, you guys are just like a slight step above me. It's like I'm hanging on to like the tips of the stairs. Like, please, like, let me see what you guys are doing. You're like, now, and you stomp on my feet.
That's funny. Speaking of stomping on feet, how are your feet doing, anyways?
Feet?
I'm just kidding. I don't care about anybody's feet right now.
Well, they're pretty non-pedicured, but long.
So like a hobbit.
No, I'm completely hairless, like most of my body, but they're just long, like rabbit feet. I remember a girl that I wanted to date when I was in elementary school told me I had rabbit feet, and she said she'd never talk to me again. I never talked to that girl again.
I wouldn't either. She just called you like lucky at the same time. Is that a good thing?
Having like giant feet as like a child when I'm still small as a boy, or as a man as a boy.
A rabbit. Right? You have rabbit feet. Rabbit feet are supposed to be lucky.
The best part is after she said that, I was sitting on the ground of a state. Now, this is how my memory works. I remember exactly what was happening. I was sitting on the ground. I had Chucks on, and I was wiggling them back and forth, and I took my shoe off for some reason, and she saw my feet, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe your feet fit into those giant long shoes. You have rabbit feet. That's creepy or something. She stood up and she said, that's really weird or something, and walked away. And I was like, what? And then I asked another girl, I was like, what do you think of my feet? Are they creepy? Are they too long? She goes, yeah, they're big, but you're cute, so it doesn't matter. And then walked away, and I was like, validated. Giant feet for the win. Let's forget about those negative aspects. My giant rabbit feet are going to hop into the future and destroy all thoughts. I didn't know the word at the time, but I knew it in my heart.
That's hilarious, man. So we
honestly, but yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, actually, we kind of had a topic we were gonna try to talk about today.
Yeah.
Don't you record me?
I do what I want.
But yeah. So did you pull that thing up on Reddit or what?
Yeah, totally. So, Sharm's been obsessed with like ghosts and horror stories and shit this last couple of weeks. Like,
me too.
And I've been like fearing my own mortality for like the last 6 months. So we've been talking about that. Like we talked about it like the last episode for a little bit. Like not really like that per se, but like just like weird, crazy shit that's been happening to us and like in people in general, with people in general, and like just the scary shit that people go through and
yeah, but this time
it's kind of more like a supernatural kind of thing.
Yeah, like have you ever gotten spooked before? Like anything crazy or supernatural happened to you? Like ever?
Oh yeah, couple times. Like very like kind of like what the hell was that moment?
Yeah, those are the best kinds of moments because they stick with you.
Yeah.
It's
But I don't know if they stick with me. They scar me in a way where I'm like, it's like my
Scars?
eyes open a little wider permanently, like after those moments.
Yeah, that's the real shit that I like. That touching.
I
that
will say
other
that
stuff.
stuff like that, it's really interesting though, because it's like the spice of life. Like that, what the fuck moment is like awesome.
Yeah.
And then you always have a story, I guess, but like most people are gonna be super skeptical and be like, that's not, that never happened. It's like, well, okay, like fat, like 65-year-old man
Yeah.
with diabetes. I don't care. I don't care what you think. And then he's like, one time a being like, gave me diabetes, and I was like, pretty sure it was that ding dong, bro.
Dude, so a friend, I won't name drop because he may or may not be listening. So, but we'll call him Dan.
Okay.
But Dan's mom was sick in a bad way. Like she had like some kind of funky cancer and like was like just really unhealthy. Like knew that like sugar and shit like that shouldn't be like her best choice because of like diabetes was creeping around the corner, and she was on bed rest
yeah, she
for like ever, and every time we came over, like didn't matter if it was like us or like Dan or anybody else that was there, you know what I'm saying? Like she'd be like, oh well, let me get a Swiss roll out the freezer. Grab me a Swiss roll out the freezer. You're going to the store, grab me some Swiss rolls, put them in the freezer. You know what I'm saying? And like just stayed smashing them shits, and like everybody was like, this is bad for you, and Dan was just like, whatever, man, it's what she wants, and it's like,
kind of know what's going on here.
You know that you're driving the stake into the fucking
coffin there. Yeah, the last few nails at least.
Yeah,
it's not the good.
It's hard to be like, it's hard to accept that you're an enabler when it comes to something real fucking crazy like mortality.
Yeah.
When people can
and
die.
Even honestly, when it comes to, people are always like tobacco, alcohol, drugs, those are the vices, but really it's like a sedentary life and a diet that are the true like deaths of most people in America now. So it's like no one's thinking about that. And they're like, oh, that makes her happy. She's sober now, or like she doesn't, this is what she wants, and it's like, but still it's like it's the same thing. It just, I would say it's a much slower death. Like you're just kind of, you're killing your pancreas and your
and it's not that slow anymore. People are dying in their 40s and 50s and shit like it's easy.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. Where my dad lives, I mean, Wisconsin, like rural Wisconsin, there's people who are having like heart attacks when they're like my age. Like I'm 31, and there's people that are like 32, 33 having these not just heart attacks, but massive heart attacks. Like their whole like arteries are just like fucking clogged with shit, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's like these guys are like active all day. They have active lifestyles, they have active professions, and they're still having these massive heart attacks.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
this
like,
convenience food.
Diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's diet. It's just like that saturated fat and like trans fat. Like that shit.
It's comfort.
The thing about that is like we weren't talking about that. Like when I was a little kid, there was no trans fat like shit. Like, and I'm sure with you guys too, like that wasn't a thing. No one's talking about trans fat, but it's like now that's like our ultimate
What the
vice
fuck
in
is a
way.
trans fat?
I was just gonna say something about trans fat, but I didn't want to sound like I was like, that has nothing to do with gender, right?
No. Trans fat is
I'm just kidding.
No, I know what a trans fat is. It's just
No.
You're right. Nobody spoke about that shit when we were growing up, and now suddenly, like,
I don't think people really.
When you're grown,
I'm
now
sure
you learn that like
scientists-
Europe doesn't have them.
Yeah.
Europe and Canada's banned them from like fast food. Like,
Yeah. We at least have to have them labeled now, but that's it.
yeah, and. But also in America too. Now the other thing is too about trans fat. I would say that to a certain percentage, like margarine, like all those margarines and stuff you have,
it's all trans
they
fat.
they have trans fat in them, but they're so minimal per serving that they don't have to label them, so they still have trans fat. It's like it's like literally margarine is still worse for your arteries than like pure butter.
Yeah,
because
it's
butter,
butter.
if you just get like straight butter,
Yeah.
It's better. No, it's better.
That's why
It's
all I
not-
do
it's
is
not-
eat butter. I put
Yeah.
butter on my butter, bro.
Yeah, it's like no, it's exactly. It's like don't eat the stick, but like add a little to your
Dude, did you ever see that?
healthy meal.
Did you ever see that YMCA commercial?
Where dude's
Where was a
eating
lady
stick butter?
watching? No, she's a lady. She's like sitting
Yeah,
there on her
eating
fucking chair, like
stick
watching
of butter.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's going ham on that stick of butter.
My
Just-
cousin did
No, I
that.
didn't see that.
Just
My cousin Matt went ham on a stick of butter, and I'm
oh.
not kidding you. This kid shit all over his entire bed. His hair, he had it in his hair, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, it was insane. He looked like Sonic the Hedgehog, but with shit.
God.
It was bad.
So he wasn't blue, right?
No, no,
He's
it was
brown.
brown.
It was like Sonic before
Brown
he
hog.
turned blue. You ever read those old comics where like Sonic, him and Robotnik, or like before Robotnik was Robotnik, his name was like Kinto Burr, and they were friends. And there was like this accident that they like made Sonic blue and like way faster and made Robotnik crazy and shit. It's not a Japanese comic, I'll tell you that right now. But yeah.
This shit is crazy though. But yeah, no, it happens. I mean, but a lot of people die young nowadays. I mean, I don't know. Like my cousin just passed away recently. And yeah, me and him
I'm
were.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all right though. You know. It's
How old is
crazy
he?
though, cause he's the same age as me. We were born in the same hospital. 4 days
So
apart.
How old is that though?
Yeah, I was born on the 10th, and he was born on the 14th, and we were at the born
And
in
what
the,
age was that though?
35, just like a couple,
Oh shit!
like 4 or 5 months
Way
ago.
too young.
Yeah, I know.
Way
He has a
too
bunch
young.
of kids too, you know, which is
How
rough.
did he die?
Well, here's a weird thing. Like we used to go hard in the paint as kids, you know, partying and stuff. And then he didn't know he had a heart condition. It was genetic, and the only way we found out is after he died. I don't know what he did before or whatever, but I know that my cousin found him in his bed, laying down, and he had blood coming out of his face and everything. But what had happened was he had like a genetic heart defect, and his heart like exploded in his chest when he was laying down. He didn't even know. So like he didn't know he had a genetic defect at all. He just went to sleep, and it happened so fast, you know.
That
But-
happens a lot, unfortunately, with like athletes.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
they
he
have
was
these
athletic. He
small-
played in
yeah.
football and everything in high
Mhm.
school and shit. He was really good.
It's really sad. Like these prime athletes, like high school or like even younger. Sometimes like, but it's usually like I'd say like late teens, early 20s, when these people end up passing away. They just go into cardiac arrest because
Yeah.
they're in prime condition. Like there's nothing wrong with their body except they had like a small heart defect.
Yep, it's
And
usually
they
like a
pass away
palpitation
from
or
that.
some shit.
Yeah, it's like a palpitation, and then it goes to an arrhythmia, and then they go into like cardiac arrest, which is really sad. Like, and it's like way too young to die from something like that.
Or like head trauma. Like head trauma fucks me up.
Oh,
Like, my brother.
concussions and shit. Oh,
Yeah, my
yeah.
no, my
even
brother Derek.
worse,
Well,
probably.
my brother
Yeah.
Derek, he's okay. Let me backstory. My mom remarried, and we had like a bunch of step siblings. Derek happened to be one of them, but like all of my step siblings and myself and like all my actual siblings, we got like real close. So like, he's just my brother at this point. You know what I'm saying? And even after like my step parents, like even after like my stepdad divorced my mom, like you know like we still look at each other like brother and sister. And Derek happened to be at like Como Zoo, and I don't know all the details. I know that somebody took some shit of his. He tried to confront the dude about it, and Derek's not a fighter. You know what I'm saying? He'd rather talk his fucking, you know, he'd rather talk the shit out. Like, hey, you have something that belongs to me. Dude just hits him, and when he hits him, I guess like he hits his head on some shit on the way down. They rushed him to the hospital, and he died like shortly after he got there, all over some fucking head trauma, you know. And it was really fucked up. Like I was like super like I was ready to go to war for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And like you know like luckily the police got to him before anybody else did, because I'm pretty certain there were like other people who were just as angry as I was. But like,
That's really sad.
dude, it's super fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, and he had just graduated high school. That's the whole reason he was at Como Zoo or Como Park. Like they were all celebrating like having just graduated, and like so he didn't even get an opportunity to go to college or like, you know, like have children or anything like that. That shit just from one punch.
Yep.
I know.
And
his
then
life
like
was
and then
so
like 5
short.
years later, another dude on the bus. He's getting off the bus, and some dude's trying to rob him as he's getting off the bus, and he punches him. And when he punches him, he hits his head on like a chain link fence, and that's what kills him.
The guy who was trying to rob him?
No, the guy who got punched. He got punched, hit his head on some shit, and then he fucking died.
So the robber got punched?
Mm-mm. The robber punched the dude as he was getting off the bus. He like donkey punched his ass from behind, and the dude fell forward and busted his shit on a chain link fence.
He must have had a
like
just
you know
like,
like when you're getting off the back of the bus, there's that steep stairwell on like the older buses.
Yeah.
And then dude punched his ass. I've seen people get punched up like getting off the back of the bus all the time. Like there was this dude that got he had this fat wallet poking out of his back pocket, and so this was a long ass time ago. And this dude fucking donkey punched his ass and stole his wallet and ran off. And so we had to sit and wait for the police to show up. But that was a whole nother incident. But this incident in particular, I had seen it on the news like maybe like 5 years after my brother got killed. And it's the same shit. Dude fucking wanted some shit, except for like this time he had already fucking had intentions of taking it from the dude. Not like, oh, this is just sitting here and I'm gonna take it. So dude fucking punched him from behind, and he fucking fell over. And when he fell out the back door of the bus, he busted his shit on a fence or some shit like that, and he died right there.
He got died.
Well,
yep.
He got died.
He got died for real.
Well, I want to say that it's really sad too. Like, traumatic brain injuries, and like probably what killed both of them was like a hematoma, like like pooling of blood in your brain.
Yeah.
Like it does not take much to kill people. I mean, I've seen people literally hit their head on cement. Like I saw my friend when I was a little kid. Like we were BMXing. My friend smashed the back of his head without a helmet on when we were BMXing after going off this giant jump. And just he missed the jump, hit like a bad area that was like grass, and then his head just smashed against the cement. And I ran over to him and I was like, dude, are you okay? And like, I mean, he was just like, he was gone at that point. Like he was seeing stars. And I mean, the ambulance came super quickly. The fire department came, but it's like after that, now the good story is my friend is completely fine, and he became a semi-professional BMXer when he was in high school after that. But then he stopped and he became like he's like a diesel mechanic now. But I
used to ride
like,
BMX.
Yeah, no, it was I never wore helmet. I never wore helmet. Like I understand. Like it was.
I
just
probably
like,
should have.
Oh, as many times I fell off my skateboard.
I always wear a helmet now. I actually wear a helmet after I smashed the fuck out of my chin open. And this super sexy doctor's like, be sure to wear a helmet. And she stitched up my chin. And I was like, yes, ma'am. It's like an Animaniacs. Like,
hello,
I was just like,
nurse.
Yeah, hello, nurse. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I broke a couple of ribs flipping off a bike. And, like, the whole front end of the bike just came apart. Like, I was borrowing the dude's bike. I came back from like applying from a job. I was riding back home from like St. Louis Park, and I got to Glenwood, like right there on the Parkway, and I went up the little ramp on the sidewalk, and the whole fucking front, like the front, it wasn't like the front end entirely, but like the front tire popped off, and I seen the fork that was holding the tire like hit the fucking asphalt, and it sparks were flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And everything went slow motion, and I felt the handlebars hit my chest as I flipped forward, and I got launched off the bike. I slid like 5 feet. And I'm laying there like, and this lady stopped her car, and her kids get out, and they're like poking me with sticks and shit because they thought I was dead. And she's like, are you okay? And I sat up like instantly like, oh shit, that hurt. And when I got up, like I felt my ribs, and I was like,
Wait, where did the ladies' kids get the sticks? They're just in the car.
Because they're right there in the Parkway. I was by the Quaking Bog, basically. So like, they're just sticks everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're just jabbing me. And when I shot up, I was like, oh, because I couldn't breathe. My ribs were like poking into me. So I was like, oh, fuck. And this other dude stopped, and he's like, you need to call anybody? And I was like, you want to call my mom? Because this other lady's calling 911. And so like, he's calling my mom. My mom gets on the phone, and she's like, don't let the ambulance pick you up. I'm going to come in. Or she's like, don't let the ambulance take you to the hospital. I'm going to come pick you up. I was like, all right, bet. So like, I'm sitting in the back of this ambulance, and my mom ends up showing up. She like steals me from the paramedics and takes me to North Memorial, and they're like,
your mom's so cheap. Dude.
Yeah, she was like, unless you want an expensive ass taxi.
No, she's smart.
Yeah. So my mom picks me up, takes me to North Memorial, And they're like, yeah, you broke some ribs. There's nothing we can do about it. Slaps a Band-Aid on my face, gives me some ibuprofen. It was like, wear a helmet. And I'm like, but my head's fine.
Yeah, just making sure you don't die. My friend Dan Ruby passed away when we were little. He was like 12, and he was I remember what street. I think he was going down Monroe Avenue in Anoka, and a car came up 4th Street and I think it went through the sign, or there was no sign there at the time. And he was coming through the intersection, and he got hit, and he flew like 50 or 60 feet and landed on his head, and he went into a coma and never came out. And
did they catch them?
yeah, no, the dude didn't. At the time, I think there was no stop sign. So and there is
he
now.
Stopped and was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. And then
Okay,
Dan ended up and his brain swelled up, and yeah, that was that. And
Sucks.
they donated his organs and everything. But yeah, he was young. I felt bad. Like, here's a crazy story, dude. Like, he lived next door to me, and we used to hang out all the time. And his dad, I don't know what his dad was doing, but Dan Ruby got his hands on a lot of weed. Like, not just a little bit, like a fucking once 1 gallon bags filled to the brim with weed, and this kid's like 11, you know. and I'm like, why do you have all this? And he said, he gave it to me. I'm like, okay, cool. I asked him to buy a dime, and he's like, well, how much is a dime? I gave him $10, and he's like, well, how much though? Like, how much is it? I filled up an Altoids can.
Oh my god!
That should
That's
do
like
it.
A pack of cigarettes.
Yes, I filled it up, and I felt
This'll be good, Dan Ruby.
Yeah, I felt bad after Dan passed away, but at the same time I didn't, because everybody smoked it with me.
Is this an alias, Dan? Are we using
No,
Dan for alias?
no, this is a real guy.
Okay.
And we smoked that whole thing. Everybody else was baked out of their fucking mind. I didn't get high. And then the last one, we smoked one more, just a fucking whatever. And I was so high I couldn't walk, dude. And like, I didn't get high out of all of it. Like, nothing. I was like, what the hell happened? And the last one, like, it's like, oh, now we're smoking, so we're just going to hit you with all of it at once. And Dan Ruby was laying down behind this dentist building on Main Street in Anoka. Like, Main Street is like a busy strip. People are cruising back and forth, and we're laying down behind this building. And he whips his dick out from underneath his starter coat, but doesn't bother pulling his pants down or pulling his coat up. He just points it out downwards, and he's pissing from out between his legs, laying down. And I'm like, that's an amazing talent, because how do you not pee all over yourself, man? I'm like,
We'll remember your talent forever, Dan.
yeah, I'll remember. That kid was a cool kid, though. Like, it's just sad that it had to happen like that.
I didn't even get to be an
adult.
Kid,
Yeah, he didn't
really.
even get to be an adult or a
He
teenager.
didn't get to grow up. Like,
No.
he just died
Yeah,
too soon.
But a lot of people do, and and here's the thing: me and Sprout were talking about whether or not he believes in ghosts, and he for a little bit here didn't
I'm like 50-50.
He doesn't put much weight into like ghosts or spiritual crap like that. And
I put a lot of weight into spirituality.
yeah, well, that's a difference. You know
like,
what I mean? But like trapped here on Earth,
I feel like there's a lot of science.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of science.
Yeah,
dude.
but that can be explained. Like, that's what I was talking about, like residual energy. Like, in science, there's no such thing as energy that disappears. It just changes form. I mean, that's it. Like, Albert Einstein, and any scientist will agree with you. I mean, that's all, like, everything. You can gather every little piece and put it back together theoretically. But, bringing back consciousness and life is a different story.
Yeah, like, we still haven't untapped those secrets. Like, we don't know. Like, we don't know what the fuck a soul is. Like, we're still debating on whether or not this is a simulation.
We're still trying to debate consciousness. Like,
yeah.
Where does that come from? A lot of people will say it comes from outside. Some people will say it comes from the brain. I mean, if you know anything about probiotics or your stomach bacteria or anything, your body is like in charge. Your brain basically is just trying to keep your body happy.
Your brain's literally like a giant regulator.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
trying
we got to
to
deal with
keep
this and that.
Your brain.
That's why,
it's
when you get migraines and shit, it's basically like your brain
shit.
doesn't know what the fuck is going on, And so it's like we gotta just like do everything, throw up, shit, headache, all this
sweat.
shit.
Yeah, no,
like,
my body pours out sweat. I get the shakes. I shit. I black out. I vomit. Like all my pores leak.
I'm like a tube of toothpaste.
You know one thing that doesn't happen? I don't pee a lot when I have a migraine.
Really?
No, because I'm sweating like fucking balls. So I mean, it's terrible. But we were going about this, and like I'm like wondering, like if you have all this energy built up in your body, because like I've seen too much shit to not believe in some shit. You know what I mean? Like I've heard things, I've seen things, and it's different when you're by yourself, right? And you experience these things, but when you have somebody else there, that's like it makes it feel so much better.
And that's the thing. Like I've seen some things, so I'm not gonna disregard that something is there with us. But I'm not going to chalk it up to ghosts. Like, a person with unfinished business, like, everybody dies with unfinished business. Yeah. Literally everybody. So, like...
I don't know about everybody. Like, some people are like, I'm good. Bam. You know? They kill themselves because they ain't got shit else.
They don't want no part to do with that shit. But, like... but, like, most people, even if it's trivial shit, like, oh, I wish I could have smoked one last rock. Like, there's always.
I don't think you become a ghost. I don't think you become a ghost for craving crack.
I don't know, man. Crack is pretty good. I'm just kidding. I don't do crack, by the way.
Ghost, just like Dave Chappelle's residual ghost, like, I just needed that one more rock. Like,
somebody said
like,
rock.
Right, so Tyrone Biggums, you need to go back to the grave. He's like, no, I don't think so. Hey, you got some
He sounds like Towley.
Towley.
Kyle.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Or Mr. Hanky. You smell an awful lot like flowers.
No, but okay, so like, okay, here's why I don't disregard that there's something out there. Like, there's been shit. Like, I feel like, you know, like there's like those stories of people who like write stories, and then those events and those stories come true in a supernatural way. Like somebody writes about a ghost, and then suddenly that ghost is real. Like I feel like that shit happened here. When I was helping like Jeremy and Jamie move in here, I found this like corner upstairs. It's like you go up the stairs. There's this banister on the second floor that leads to like this really wicked timeout corner. Like there's like a slant where the roof is at, and like you can tell it's like that's where you put your fucking kids. So like I was like, sure, check out this fucking badass timeout corner. And then my cousin Christopheles and TJ were with me, and we were making up this story. Like, man, wouldn't that be crazy if like some parent was like, hey, you sit your ass here until I come back, and they just like never came back. And so like we joked like every time something crazy happened, we're like, oh, that's timeout, kid. And then one day me and Jamie were burning a bunch of shit in the fireplace, and we were Snapchatting stuff at the same time, and this giant picture flew off the mantle. Like the nail is still intact. Like it flew like a foot off the mantle, like horizontally, and like dropped right on top of Jeremy. And I was like, "Oh, watch out!" And he karate blocked it, like pacha.
Yeah,
and then like the very next day, no, the same day, we were sitting at the table. We were like rolling up a blunt, and his phone's sitting at the table, and it shoots off the table, like flies like 3 feet off the table and hits the floor. And he's like, because I'm known to smack phones out of people's hands and like knock shit off the table. Like I fuck with people all the time. So instinctually, Jeremy's like, "What the fuck, Sprout?" And I'm like, "Dude, that wasn't even me. Like I swear to God, that I didn't even touch your phone. I'm on the opposite side of the table from this motherfucker."
Yeah. Well, here's some like there's some minor details that he's completely forgetting. Like that picture, it wasn't hanging up on a nail. It was leaning up against the wall in like I want to say like a 20 to 30 degree angle. But in front of that picture, because it's above on my fire mantle. Now imagine a fireplace, right? And you got a mantle above it that's about 2.5 feet wide, or not wide, but deep, and then like 5 feet wide, right? On top of it's a picture that's about 5 feet fucking wide, and about 3 feet tall, and is leaning up against the wall in a 30-degree angle. And in front of that picture is a stack of paper that's about 8 inches high. Now, these are loose leaf papers because I'm burning them. I'm in front of the fireplace, throwing shit into the fire.
Oh, and there's no windows open.
Yeah,
I
no
forgot
windows.
about that.
No windows open because it's cold.
It's like February.
Yeah, because I just moved in. So I got my fireplace doors open, and I'm chucking shit in pictures and things like this in the fire. And all of a sudden, Sprout yells something, and I look up, and the picture's coming at me. And it came down, and I blocked it, and it broke my door a little bit of my fireplace. But the papers that were stacked in front of it were still there. So it had to have, if it would have tipped over the papers, you know what I mean? All them papers would have came knocking down on top of me and got knocked over. I mean, it's a high stack of papers. It had to have fallen over it, or got picked up over it and went over the papers to come down at me. You know what I mean? Like, how does that happen?
Well, probably. That's probably what happened. But I know sometimes I always think there's a scientific explanation, and then the other part of me is like, no.
But even if the top part of the picture,
spooky science.
even if the top part of the picture was to like roll over the 8-inch stack of papers, something would have gotten knocked over.
Yeah.
So like, and there's no reason why it would be top heavy when its center of gravity is like leaning against the wall.
Yeah, that's
like,
the other thing. How does that happen when it's leaning against the wall?
I wish I could be there in VR, like having a VR headset on and being like, all right, I'm seeing what's happening. Oh my God, it really is a ghost. Wait a second, no.
Look, okay, so I'm standing here with my phone, right? I was just getting ready to record, and I didn't because I panicked, because when I looked up, this fucking picture, this wide-ass picture, legit flew off the mantle. Like, it levitated, like it was so fast. Like, it went up and over, and then it dropped. And then
if you saw it levitate, then that's much more frightening than just like it might have fallen off. It wasn't
like hovering, levitating. It was like, it looked like somebody picked it up and whipped it off the fucking wall.
And
like, no, it's like suddenly jumped over the papers. Like it was just
there's no way that it could have happened without the papers being jostled. And then on top of that, what force could push that picture? Because when you come over here again, which I'm sure you will, yeah, we're gonna kidnap you. By the way, no,
oh my God,
we're gonna make our own ghost story, Joe.
Hey,
no, but
I'm gonna have platinum chains.
I like
in the basement.
I like it. No, but the picture
platinum chains
is, if you look, it's still the same way. Like, I've put it back where it was. It hasn't fallen since.
Nope,
not once. So,
tell him about Mo.
Oh, Mo. Okay. So one day we were all hanging out in the basement. Or no, outside.
We had just came back.
We just came back, and my dog is tripping. Like, you hear him barking like crazy. And I'm like, what the
old pup?
Yeah,
Does he have 3 legs?
Yeah, the 3-legged dog, yeah.
Oh, he's tripod hound. I love him.
Yeah, he's sitting there in my bedroom, barking his head off, right? So I go in the house, I unlock the door, I go through my first door, I go in through the second doorway, and I have a third doorway, believe it or not, just to get into the fucking house. And I open a third doorway, and I hear a voice talking to Mo. And I'm assuming one of the kids got home. I don't know how, but one of the kids are home, and it's like a girl voice. So I open the door. As soon as I open the door, the voice stops, and the door shuts. And I open the doorway that goes to my room, and Mo's in my room on the bed barking at the wall. Now, the doors are normally open, which it was, except for that one doorway by the bathroom, which when you come...
that leads into that hallway in front of your room.
Yeah, it's a super heavy fucking door. It doesn't move no matter how strong the wind is. I got one of these factory fans.
Big dumb fucking like mahogany doors or some shit. Like,
and it's I have factory fans, like big, like they push out a lot of fucking air. You could fucking fly with this fucking fan.
You didn't even have the fans at this time.
Yeah, but
it wasn't even summer yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying with those, I run those every day, and they don't move the doors at all. I leave the windows open, because it's a nice old house with tons of windows. Nothing moves. The door doesn't move. So it got slammed as soon as I opened the other door, and I thought maybe a vacuum. I try that shit, and it does not happen. None of my doors move. There's no such thing as vacuum in my house for some reason. I open the door, and Mo, normally when I come to the house, he stops barking and he comes to the door waiting for me. He wasn't there at all. He just stayed in my room barking at the wall. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Now, this was right after we just moved in. Now, a few months go by and it kind of dies out. Like, nothing's happened since. Like, it's been chill, you know? But that voice stopped, the door slammed, and Mo's sitting in my room barking at a wall. I'm like, okay. But I'm not bothered by any of this, by the way. It's just like, what the fuck?
I'm convinced that, like, they even said that, like, cats, I don't know about dogs, but, like, cats can see, like almost electromagnetic waves and shit like that. So, like, they can see, like, UV waves and
like
shit.
Frequencies.
There were nights when, like, they first moved in.
They can see different spectrum.
Yeah, different frequencies.
Like, light.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, light's a frequency.
Like, I've seen my cats do very frightening things, and I actually wasn't there at the time. I'll tell you one thing that scared the shit out of me just hearing about it. But my girlfriend, like Katie, so we weren't together, but like so we'd broken up, and I was back at like my parents' house, like from our apartment, and what had ended up happening, it was like 2016 or something, and someone died in the apartment above us. A woman died. She just randomly died, like, and we never found out what happened, but it was like a healthy, like, nurse. Like, it was like a nurse who worked at the local, like, Edina, like the Fairview, probably where I was born, in the Fairview, like, hospital.
My brother was born
there. She just
there.
randomly died. Yeah, she randomly died. Like, she just, apparently she fell over and died that day. And the police came, and, like, coroner and all this other shit. But what was really scary was that same day, apparently Katie and her sister came over with the kids. And the cats, like, our cats, were super terrified. Like, they were jumpy. They were watching, like, the ceiling and stuff like that, like, constantly.
Yeah.
The entire, like, afternoon after this had happened. And at one point, Tristan, like, he was like 3 years old at the time, this, like, toddler, and he was trying to walk and pet the cat, and our cat Soul was looking up and, like, staring, and Tristan tried to come and, like, pet him or something. He was, like, just, like, crouched down, and he hissed and he swiped at him and continued to look up at the ceiling, and then Tristan ran away crying, and Soul continued to run towards the door of the apartment, hissing the whole time, and he wasn't even looking at Tristan, I guess. He was just looking upwards, like he saw something, like a shadow or whatever, and just kept hissing and hissing. And then he crouched down and eventually, like, for a couple of minutes, and he eventually came back and, like, sat in the living room, and he laid down. And then once again, like, a couple of minutes later, he was looking around, like he was looking like he saw something. Like, it's not that he was just looking randomly. Like, he looked like Katie said it looked like he was, like, watching something circle the room over and over. Like, he was just, like, looking, like, in a circular motion. Like, what the hell is that? And Katie stood up and she goes, okay, so, like, I think you're kind of creeping everyone out. And before she could even touch him, he stood up, like, on all fours and hissed and got super puffy, and all hairs were, like, big. And he was, like, looking around, and he just darted into the bedroom. And Kay didn't see him for a couple hours after that. Like, he was so scared. And I was like, what do you think that was then? She's like, I think that Soul watched that dead woman from upstairs. Like, her spirit didn't know what was happening. Yeah. And she finally left. Because after that day, it didn't happen at all again.
So there's just, like, a fucking, like, a Ark of the Covenant ghost just floating around in a circle in a room. Just,
no,
like,
it's like... I always get scared. I always get really scared. Soul, I feel like, too, is, like, this very smart cat. Like, I always call him the human cat. Because there's Soul, he's the human cat, and then there's Killua, he's a dog. He's very stupid, and I feel like he's brain damaged, but I love him, and he's very loyal. I can command him like a I love both the cats like equally, but I mean, Soul is just very alert and like perceptive. I feel like he like sees through like illusions and stuff like that. Like if someone is like, "Yeah, I love cats," and they're like, I hate cats. Fuck you," like that.
I love
Soul
cats.
wouldn't like you immediately. Yeah, I feel like if someone was like, "I love cats," but they didn't actually, Soul would probably be afraid of you. Like he'd probably be like, "Get away from me!" Like I can sense that you suck.
That's cat. Well, I mean, a lot of animals can tell people suck. You know.
Yeah, I feel like Soul is really smart, and he's kind of a salty. I always call him a salty kitten. He's very like jaded.
Yeah.
He's very jaded. He's very like. Sometimes I mean me, it's like I adopted him as a kitten with Katie, and like we don't live together right now. This like I swear though, no matter what, like Soul is a mama's boy, and then like Killua the dog like kitten is like he loves me. When he sees me like almost jump into my arms and be like wow, wow, and just start purring, and it's like I love you, Bigua. He's a fat white like stupid cat, but I love him. And Soul's the opposite though, and that's what scares me though is that Soul this very he's not like neither of these cats are aggressive. They don't attack people, but at one point though, the thing that I should say that scared me when I heard about it was Tristan, the little toddler who was like 3 years old, like Katie's sister's, so her nephew, when he was trying to leave, Soul was like hissing and puffing up and getting like that raccoon tail, and Soul's like a short hair, like pretty small cat, and he's puffing and hissing and like at the door, and Tristan started like crying, and Katie like ran out like to see him, and he's puffing, and she's like, "Soul, no," or something, and she swatted him away, and Soul immediately ran back to where he was and was puffing. Like Soul was scared, or like trying to maybe like that spirit was still there, like maybe going after Tristan or something. Like Soul was there to like protect like Tristan, because Soul was super, I guess he was more aggressive than she's ever seen him in his life, and Soul is like never aggressive ever.
He's just a chill cat.
Like he's a super chill cat. Like he doesn't bite people, he doesn't attack people, but Soul was super afraid, I guess. Like it was more fear and like instinct, I think. But when Katie told me that, I was like, that's fucking scary. And then of course it's like I went to see Soul, and there he is. He's just laying on this couch, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yes, my psychic abilities are profound, but please don't touch me now. I'm not." Like, you fat fuck.
Well, hey, check it out. You guys you guys ready for this juicy tidbit that I found on Reddit?
Yeah. Well, what the hell are you talking about, dude?
So
yeah.
This user Spectra27 asks, "What was in the room with us?"
Okay.
They say, "I was staying over at my boyfriend's house one night. Now, admittedly, I had some interesting experiences at his house, but before I had always chalked them up to my overactive imagination. However, this I cannot explain. I was awoken one night. I was awoken one night by the sound of tissue paper rustling. I had received a gift the night before, and I had left the gift bag on the floor. Holy run-on sentence. Now I was awake, but I didn't turn over thinking his AC must have kicked on. That is what I thought until my purse had been sitting on a shelf. That is what I thought until my purse that had been sitting on a shelf fell over. I immediately sat up, and to my horror, I saw a black human-looking figure crawl to the bedroom door. I say human-looking because to me at least it didn't seem to be fully human. Anyway, it looked back at me, opened the door, and crawled out. Now I know what some skeptics may say, but that I might be dreaming or that I experienced sleep paralysis. But the sound of the door opening and closing woke my boyfriend up. We got up, searched the house, and nothing was missing. No one was with us, and the doors were still locked, and the windows are all intact, leading me to ask the question, what was in the room with us that night?
That same shit that was in the room with me and Jasper and my family, dude.
What?
Me and my whole family, right? We had bought a house, you know our house on Humboldt, right?
Oh, I love that house.
And the city fucked us, right? Because, all right, we bought the house. It had a double mortgage, which we didn't know. So we had to pay double the value of the house. But the city, when we moved in, we didn't know the city had already deemed that neighborhood zoned out for a new school to be built there. We didn't know that. So, like, after a half of a year living there, they're trying to kick us out. And they're only willing to pay half of the value of the house. So we end up poor, right? Broke as fuck. And we're living in a hotel. And we're going hotel to hotel. And we go to this hotel called the American Inn. Or American. And it's on Highway.
American.
Yeah.
Is that the one over there in Bloomington?
No, it's the one on Highway 10 and 101. But in Elk River.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah. So it was right there. It's across from the old red roof or red carpet.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a hotel room in there and we're all staying there. And there's like me, my dad, my mom, obviously my brother Jasper, my sisters Jessica, Jenny, and Jasmine. They're all sleeping in the bed. Me and my brother get the floor. My dad and my mom get the bed nearest to the window, right? So we're all sleeping, and we're sleeping on the floor in front of the bed of my sister. Mm-hmm. And my brother wakes me up. I don't know what time it was. I never bothered to look. But he wakes me up. He's like, Jeremy. And I'm fucking a teenager, right? I'm tired. I don't want to be bothered. It's like 5 in the fucking morning or 3 in the morning or something. And he's harassing me to get up. I'm like, what the fuck do you want, man? Go to bed. He's like he's 8 years younger than me, right? So he's like 8, maybe 10. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want, man?
Go to bed, little bitch.
Yeah, I'm snapping on him. And he's like, there's something by mom. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, there's something black by mom. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, look. And I look over, and in the corner of the room, over my mom, there's this it looked like 8 to 9 feet tall, like a black shadow, like a
God.
Deep dark, like whatever it was, and it started to lean over her, like a big tall something leaning over her. And I stand up, I'm like freaking the fuck out, my heart's racing, my brother's freaking out, but he doesn't even move. He is like stuck, laying on the floor looking at this thing. Then I grab my pillow and I run to the lights and I throw my pillow at it. And it goes through it, and I turn the lights on, and the minute the lights come on, it's gone. And everybody wakes up because my dad got hit in the face with the pillow. And everybody's waking up, and they're freaking out, like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, there's something over mom. And my dad and them are all, like, looking at us like we're crazy. And I turn the light back off immediately just to see if, maybe it's like an optical illusion, and I'm standing there, and I don't see shit. I go walk back by my brother. I don't see shit. I go back by where the light is. I flip it off and on. Like, what the fuck is going on? And it freaks me the fuck out. And I look at my brother, and at that point, I know every experience I've ever had doesn't make me crazy because I had somebody there to witness something that I felt, that I saw, that I've dealt with before in one way or another. So I feel validated, that at the same time, I feel fucking crazy and scared as fuck.
I think that what was in this particular couple's room was an Enderman. He was just minding his business, moving blocks. She freaked out. He must have moved the block that had her purse on the shelf. And when she saw him, he dipped out.
or that was his girlfriend Shaniqua hiding under the bed and getting out of the room.
It could have been Rochelle.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. You never know.
He's like, go. I'll pretend like he wasn't here. And he's like, I don't know, babe. Doors is locked.
But what I'm saying is, I had somebody there, and it wasn't even my experience in the beginning. It was my brother. So that makes me feel better because I'm not the only person, and I wasn't the one who even started this shit. I didn't even want to be a part of it. So,
No,
are you in the Matrix?
Scary too is like me. Hello?
Yes, you. You sounded like you're downloading yourself to the internet.
Coming from there.
What?
No, so what were you saying, Joe? Hello?
Joe?
Wait, can I call you back? I think something's going on here.
Yeah, we got plenty to go on, but yeah. So Joe's gonna get
You-
back to us here in a minute because he's working on something. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Just hit us up.
I'll be back shortly.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
My internet is. I'm gonna have to reboot and do some other shit. So I'll be back soon.
All right. Cool.
All right, so is Joe gone? Joe, are you there? Joe?
I'm not seeing him.
Okay, good. Man, he's a butt. No, I'm just kidding. So, what do you think, man? What do you think I was seeing? What do you think me and Jasper were seeing? Because that's two motherfucking people at the same motherfucking time.
You saw your dad's black mistress.
She's the big bitch.
She was about to stab bitch.
She's tall as fuck.
Your dad was dating a WNBA player.
Here's a weird thing, though. Like, it was really hard to say, like, there was no real form to it, but there was at the same time. Like, there was a density to it. Like, there was a thickness to it.
But the pillow went through it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. I have people who doubt me all fucking day. I don't give a fuck. My brother was there. He woke me up. He saw that shit. He's the one who showed me. So, I mean, I can't explain it, but I know it happened.
But, okay, so remember the cave?
Okay.
How many of our friends saw the same thing? And when you went, you saw nothing.
What?
That the fucking crescent head fucking demon thing.
See,
that was supposed to lead
they
you
actually
in the cave?
saw they said they saw a figure, right? Like an actual live, like non-humanoid figure on top of it. I didn't see that. I saw I saw teenagers running, screaming. And I'm like, I'm running. So I ran. But that's not to say there wasn't something in there. I just didn't see it. Now, when it comes to something that's relatable, like this is back before internet was internet, like before everybody had internet. So I didn't know about no black mass shit at all. But now you look on the internet, a lot of people talk about this. It's not just a one-person deal. It's not like only my experience. This fucking thing was tall as shit, dude. Like, these are 10-foot, 12-foot ceilings.
See, I've never seen like a physical thing. Like, I've only seen like things flying
Or
like
hearing things.
Like
right?
remember when we had Gina's Ouija board at John's house?
Yeah.
And Ethan was there, and he's talking all that good shit. Like, the ghost named itself. I forget the ghost name. We'll call it Rob. And Ethan's like, ha ha, fuck you, Rob. You're not real. Da 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 da. If you're real, do this. If you're real, do that. Eat my ass, Rob. And then the microwave went off for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
Nobody touched it. Cups, stacks of plastic Solo cups went flying off the microwave. And what else? There's some other shit on the microwave that went shooting in another direction. I forget what it was, but that shit was not. That was real.
It's not what it do, man. I mean, shit like that's happened. Now, there's been places where I guarantee you something's happening. Like this. My aunt's house on Aldridge and 30th, right? I don't know of anything that ever happened in her house, period. But I do know the neighbors, there was a double homicide. And then they tore that house down completely. It's just an empty lot next to Nita's house. You remember?
Right.
Okay. So anybody who's ever stayed the night there alone, or even the night like where they're up by themselves, everybody's experienced something. I've experienced something. Orlando, Calvin, Manuel, my aunt, everybody who's lived in that house. Matt, a big body. Big body he's fucking he's not a pussy, you know? I got an experience from him. He told me when my aunt, because they used to go to casino trips a lot, so they left over the weekend and they let Big Body watch the house, you know, make sure everything's cool, because it's North Minneapolis.
Right.
So he's watching the house by himself. He comes in, he's rolling up a blunt, and he turns on the TV, and he's in the living room, and he's on the couch, and the couch is facing away from the steps. There's steps that go down the wall behind you, right? and then there's a walkway or like space that they left for a walkway for people to walk to the kitchen.
Right.
So there's a couch there, and he's sitting on it, and he's rolling a blunt, right? And he hears somebody upstairs running around, and then he says he stops for a minute, and he doesn't hear anything, and then he hears it again, and this time he grabs his gun, right? And he pulls it out, and he's waiting, and then he hears somebody coming down the steps. So he thinks he's gonna catch somebody coming down the steps and shit, robbing my aunt's house.
Right.
But he's waiting and listening, and he hears the steps coming, but nothing shows up, and it goes right in front of him, like whatever it is walks in front of him, and then goes downstairs and opens up the basement door. He leaves, and he refuses to come back. And he's not a pussy. Like I said, he pulled out his gun. He's ready to shoot a motherfucker. And whatever it was scared the shit out of Big Body because it walked down the stairs in front of him. He didn't see anything. And it walked down to the basement. And he said he left, and from the rest of the weekend, he would feed the dogs from the back door. He wouldn't even come in the house. Myself, I've experienced a few things in there. One, Matt experienced with me, which is really cool because I was laying on the floor next to the basement steps, and we were all partying and drinking, and I don't know where my cousins and them ended up, but it was just me and Matt in the basement, and where the bar was, or where the bar ended up being, because this is before we built the bar, there was a couch on the wall to the left or to the right of it, and Matt was curled up on the couch sleeping or whatever, and I was laying on the steps, which is on the other side of the wall from where the couch is, right? And then you have the doorway, and then so if you were coming down the steps, as soon as you get to the bottom of the steps, you make a quick right, and there's the doorway. But when you're coming down the steps, there's no wall there, so you can see up and down the steps.
Right.
So I'm laying down on the floor in front of or next to the steps, and my feet are at the doorway going into the room where Matt's sleeping. Now, my head is, facing the other way, and I'm looking up towards the bathroom, which is kind of underneath the steps.
Right.
I wake up in the middle out of a dead sleep, and I look over my shoulder, and I see what I think is Matt standing there looking at me. And I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? And then I lay my head back down, like, thinking for a second, like, why is Matt just standing there? So I get up, like, okay, so he's awake. I'm going to just, might as well, if I'm awake now, I'm going to go kick it. I go in the other room, and Matt's laying there, and he says he thought he saw something standing in the doorway, too. He thought it was me. And I'm like, it wasn't me. And I'm assuming, like, whatever it was had walked back towards the back of the room and down the hallway. Now, this hallway, it's no longer a hallway. It just cuts off. They built a wall there. So you go down the hallway, it's just a dead end. We go down, we look, and there's nothing. So for the rest of the night, me and Matt just sit up fucking, like, bugging downstairs in the basement. And here's the thing, I don't know why the fuck we didn't leave the basement. We just stayed in the basement the whole fucking time. But that same place, I had something else happen to me. Myself, I had skipped school, and I went to my aunt's house, and I was living there at the time anyways. So I come home, and the doors are open, and I'm expecting my aunt to be home, but I don't see her anywhere. So I turn on the TV, and I'm watching BET, and I hear the door slam upstairs. I'm like, oh, shit, my aunt's home. So I figure I better go up there and tell her, okay, I'm home. I got suspended from school, or, I was going to lie to her. In all honesty, I was going to say, oh, I got sick, and they sent me home. But no, I got suspended. Anyways, I make my way upstairs, and I open up her door because, I assumed it was her door. It sounded like it was her door. I open it up, and nobody's home. Nobody's there, and her window's open. And these are like the old school heavy windows. Mm-hmm. And I look, and I don't see, and nobody's chilling outside the window. Normally, it would be like a kid, like baby girl or Calvin or somebody,
right.
But it's nobody. So I leave, and I go back downstairs, and I don't see anybody obviously downstairs.
Right.
So I get downstairs, and I hear it again, And this time I hear the door slam, and it's my aunt's door, 100%. So I take off running, and I run upstairs really quick just to catch whoever the fuck it is, and I kick my aunt's door open, basically, and nobody's there. And I'm like, who the fuck is fucking with me? And I turn around, I shut the door, and I'm walking back down, or walking to the steps, and then I start walking down the steps. Now, there's like 3 steps, a platform, and then you make a right, and then you go down the rest of the steps. As soon as I get to going down the rest of the steps, I hear something running down the fucking hallway towards me, dude. And I take off running down the fucking steps, and I get down there, and I hear it coming down the steps, and nothing. I see nothing. And I fucking bounce. I run the fuck out of that house, and I slam the door behind me. I have nowhere else to go, and it's like 12, almost 1 o'clock. The police see me out there. They're going to snatch me up for curfew or some dumb shit. Not curfew, but skipping school. So I don't know what to do. I'm not going back in that fucking house. Right? So I'm sitting there on the steps, and I refuse to look over my shoulder because I feel like something's staring at me, man. And ever since then, I just refuse to be left alone in that fucking house. And I've talked to plenty of people, and everybody's had an experience. Like, virtually everybody who's ever been in there alone or had a moment to not be caught up with the energy of the house. Because when you're at my cousin's house, like, there's a lot of people there. There was a lot going on all the fucking time. But once that slowed down or stopped, it got quiet enough, you could really hear, like, the house itself, like, shit going on. There's like... There's been times where we're chilling and we hear water, like somebody playing in water in the bathroom downstairs. That bathroom's been out of use for since as long as I know. There's no water that runs to it at all.
It's the ghost bathroom.
It is literally a ghost bathroom. There's no water that runs to this.
Ghost doo-doo?
No, there's ghost vomit. Because somebody's drunk ass decided to throw up in a toilet with no water that's running to it, and now there's just a toilet filled with vomit. Man, we were nasty teenagers. I don't know who did that.
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
But
well, shit, dude. Let's fucking
you wanna wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. I'm gonna have a couple more drinks. I'm gonna go to the crib. You know, fucking. What do you guys have for crazy experiences? So all our listeners out there, make sure you leave a comment below and
like,
comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Let's set a goal. How about we try to make sure that we try to get maybe 10 likes and 50 subscribers or some shit. Like, we're at 30 something.
This is 33.
Yeah, we can do this.
That's better than 0. But yeah,
if you got any ideas for our next podcast episode, feel free to submit your ideas. We'll pick the next one and we'll roll with it.
Yeah, any stories to add on to this, be sure to, because I mean, I have more, and I'm sure Joe, if he was ever to come back, would have more. Plus, I know I have a friend or two that would like to come on and share their experiences.
Definitely, and we've got guests that we've had on from previous podcasts when we were on SoundCloud. So there's much more to come.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Have a good night. I'm gonna get drunk.
I'm gonna take this shot.
I can't. Why is it not stopping? Oh, Connie.
It's not over yet, fellas and ladies.